Welcome back guys. So in this video, I'll be teaching you guys about user input and some methods in the list. So let's get started with user input. So how can we take input from the user? We can simply write input and open and close parentheses, and we can pass whatever we want to ask from the user. Like let's say I can ask for enter your username. So this is just a framework sentence. This doesn't really mean something. So here it asks for my username. I can say Navneet, but nothing really happens because we can't really use this value by now. So in order to use this value, I have to pass it into a variable. So like let's say I can say name. So whatever the user will type will be passed into this name variable. So I can try printing out like let's say hello and whatever the name user types. Now I can say Navneet and it says hello Navneet. So that's all for user input. Now let's start with some methods in list. So let's quickly make a list. I can say the list as A, and let's add. Now I have intentionally made the spelling of the apple wrong. I'll show you why. And like let's say Tesla. That's all. And I can append an item in it, means I can add a value in this list A. So how can I do that? I can just simply say a dot append. So whatever I'll pass in this will be added as an item in this list. So I can say, let's say Google, and if I try printing out A, here Google is added as a third item. But what if we want to add Google at a specific point? Now let's say I want to add Google as the second item or the first item, means at 0 index or first index. So that's where comes insert. So I can say insert. Now insert have two parameters. So those parameters are, the first parameter will be the index at which we want to insert it. Now let's say I want to insert Google as the first index. So I can say 0 and comma what we want to insert, and that is Google. Now if I try running it, now Google is at the first index. Now let's quickly make another list. Now let's say B. Google, and I'm out of thoughts, so let's say BlackBerry. And what if I want to merge both of the list? So I can use an inbuilt function, that is extend. I can say a dot extend B. So if I try running it, now the items which were in B are added into the list A. You can see here. Now you must be thinking, why not appending them instead of extend? So if we try appending it, now the list B is held as an item in this list A. So that's a bit weird, but that's how it's done. So in order to check the values from a sublist, we can just say A. Now this list is the third item, means second index. So I can access this list by passing 2, and in order to get an item from this list, I have to open and close one more square bracket, and I can say, let's say Google or BlackBerry, which is at index 0 or 1. So let's go for BlackBerry for now. That is 1. So this will print out BlackBerry. Now if we try running it, it says BlackBerry. Now I can also get something from this BlackBerry. Now if you remember the previous video, we did arrays and strings. So if I open and close one more square bracket, then I can get the items from this BlackBerry, like let's say up until and not including 5th index. Now that printed black because the 5th index was the 6th item, and up until and not including 5th index means black. So I can, let's say, delete the list A. Now if I try running it, then the list A does not exist anymore, so it will show me an error. It says A is not defined because we recently deleted it. Like this, I can also delete a specific item in this. Now let me quickly make it in this list, and let's say I want to delete Google, that is at index 2, and if I try running it, it doesn't show Google anymore. Now there are only 3 items. Now instead of using delete, we can use another item, that is pop. Now I can say a dot. Now if you see, there are tons of methods for a list. You can play around with them. Now for now I'm going to use pop, and I'll open and close parentheses, and let's say I want to remove BlackBerry, which is at index 3. I can say just 3. If I try running it, now the BlackBerry is removed. Now if you see, there's a grammatical error in this apple because the spelling is wrong. Now at some situations we can't edit it like this because we usually don't have a debugger. So in those situations we can replace an item. So how to replace an item? In order to replace, I can say apple, which is at index 0. So I can say 0 is equal to, now we can delete by saying dot pop or delete, but in order to replace we can just pass anything, like let's say, I'll correct it for now. So now this apple, which was at index 0, is equal to this apple. So this apple is no more here, and it's replaced by this apple. So that's all for this video. So guys, now it's time for a mini challenge. So what I want you guys to do is to write a code which takes input from the user and multiply the integer with 5. Means you have to take a input that is an integer and you have to just multiply it with 5. So I'll see you guys after the challenge. Okay, so I hope you guys were able to figure out the challenge, but if you didn't, let me show you how. So what I can do is I can simply say uInput, that is the user input, is equal to input please enter a number to multiply with 5. Sorry. What I can do is I can simply write print uInput into 5. If I try running it, it asks me for a number and I can, let's say, 5. Now it prints out 5 times. So why is that? So what it is doing here is, by default the user input is a string, means the value which we get from it is a string. Now what it is doing here is, it is doing this. It is multiplying this string 5 into this integer 5. Now let's say I say hi. Now any value, and it will print out hi 5 times, because multiplying a string with integer is possible, and it will just repeat that integer as many times as you want. But we don't want this. We want to multiply an integer, so we have to convert this input into an integer. So if you remember, we did this a few videos ago. So we can just simply say uInput is equal to integer uInput. Now I'll just copy it and I'll replace it with this. Now if I try running it, I can say 5 and it prints out 25. Now this is a bit a lengthy way. We can just simply write basically I can place int open and close parentheses, so we'll directly get the input in integer form, so the result would be same. And say 45, and says 225. 45 into 5, 90, 180, 225. Okay, so that's all for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Like the video if you liked it, dislike if you didn't, and make sure to subscribe the channel. And I'll see you guys in the next video.